Hey my little party animals, hiphiprenee here today with a brand new speed build, and yet again we are in Sulani, but this time we are not on a beach lot. So we are nowhere near the water. This is actually the lot that is right up by the volcano, and this one has a ton of volcanic activity. I don't know if you guys have tried playing on this lot yet. I have, and let me tell you, the first time that volcanic activity thing happened, I was convinced that A, my house was going to burn down, and B, I was so sure that something from the volcano was going to land on my little puppy, because I had a little tiny puppy in my household at the time, and he was outside while all this volcanic activity was happening, and I was trying to call him back inside, and he just would not listen. I was so concerned. It's a really fun lot to play on. I actually really enjoy this one. And this one is for another group collab with the Sims streamers and YouTubers Facebook group. So if you are not sure what they are, basically it is a support group for Sims-based content creators for Twitch and YouTube and whatever streaming or video services you happen to use. So if you are a Sims streamer or a YouTuber, you can definitely join the group down below. We do all sorts of group collabs. We do all sorts of different days. We do a channel review day. We do a throwback Thursday, a favorites Friday. You guys know me and my alliterations. I love them, so I had to incorporate them into my group, but it's really fun. We have a great group of people over there. So if you are interested in joining, the link is always in my description box down below. You can always find it in every single one of my videos. So basically, this group collab was with the new Island Living pack finally here. It's time for us to create some beach houses. You do not need to have Island Living to participate in this collab, so do not shy away. I really like to make sure that when we are doing group collabs in the Sim streamers and YouTubers Facebook group, that we make sure we are being as inclusive as possible. There are a lot of Simmers in the group who do not have all of the packs. They don't have the newer packs. Whatever it is that they don't happen to have, I want to make sure that they can still participate with everybody else. So there are a few people in this collab who did build some beachy themed homes in other worlds. So they did not build in Sulani. I think at least one of them, I can't remember who it was that said it, but did their house in Oasis Springs. I think another one did one in Brindleton Bay. I think those are all great places to be able to put, a little bit more of an islandy vibe kind of build, just because of the, the nature of those particular worlds. Brindleton Bay especially, because it is, it is a coastal town. It's meant to represent coastal New England. So when I think beach houses, I don't think immediately to the type of houses that we have been seeing with Island Living, because those are just not something that I see in New England. In New England, I tend to see more, kind of they don't really look like they're beach houses. They're a little bit too grand to be beach houses, but they're built on the beach. So that's kind of what I envision. I can't think of, what style of home they typically are, but they're definitely not like this style of house. So there were only a few rules for this collab. I didn't really want to stifle anyone's creation or creativity while we were coming up with this collab. So you had to use a stilted foundation. That is something that was included in Island Living as well as base game. So I wanted to make sure people were, utilizing that as best as possible. The house must have the off-the-grid trait. That is also something that every single person got in an update. So that was a fun way to kind of incorporate something a little bit more islandy. And you could use any packs and any CC you wanted. Now, I don't use CC, so that's not, something that you're going to be seeing on my channel, but I did use quite a few packs for this one. I would say the two main packs that I used for this are Strangerville and Island Living. And this is the second time that I have done a Strangerville meets Island Living build since Island Living had come out. The first one that I did was by Amelia Earhart plane crash build. That one used a lot of items from Strangerville, because in Strangerville, we got all of those different we got all of those different plane parts which is just not something that we have had in normal regular packs. And I really wanted to, of course, emphasize the fact that Amelia Earhart had crashed her plane, or maybe had crashed her plane. We don't really know. She could have gone down in the ocean. She could have gone down on an island. It's up for discussion still at this point. But if you have not watched that video, I highly recommend checking it out. I had a lot of fun doing that one. It is very different from first off, from the builds that I normally do, but it's also very different from the style of voiceover that I normally do. And I took the inspiration from my Mermaids versus Sirens video, which has been doing exceptionally well. I think at the last time I checked, I had like 7,000 views on that video, which is like blowing my mind. I have no idea where that came from. I am still super excited about it, and I am definitely planning on continuing that series. We should have another episode of A Brief History, which is what I have decided to call that series. We should have one of those hopefully coming out next week. It is not going to be on Sulani. It's not going to be Sulani based. I'm not going to give away what it is, but I'm really excited to build this one. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be another kind of spooky, creepy episode instead of, a more historical episode, which I did with Amelia Earhart. So hopefully you guys stick around and tune into that, because it's going to be a really fun one. But there are quite a few people who joined in on this collab. Everybody seemed really interested in it this time around. So of course, besides myself, there's also Kitty Cat Plays with Yarn. There's Green Screen YT, Sim Show YT, Simmer Aaron, Visit Joan Sims, Pastel D20, and Tara Michelle. So you can find links to every single one of their channels down in the description box below. I am really excited to see what everybody else came up with, because, this collab was called the Island Beach House collab, and then I got in and I started building this, and I was like, is it really a beach house? It's kind of not. It kind of is. It's kind of not. But I'm going to do it anyway. So with this build, this is, again, like I said, another Strangerville meets Sulani style build. So my thoughts behind this were, there is, a strange, eccentric conspiracy theorist who has lived in Strangerville his entire life. And he has been noticing all of the weird things happening in Strangerville, and he's just super paranoid, very concerned for himself, does not want to deal with the plants growing in Strangerville, with all the people that are turning into, weird Sims zombies, whatever it is that is going on with them. He is just he is super not having it. He wants nothing to do with it. He is very concerned. So he decided to move as far away from Strangerville as humanly possible. And basically he found this little plot of land right next to an active volcano that nobody else seemed to want. So he decided, this is the perfect place for me to move. Nobody is going to come up here. Nobody is going to bother me. Maybe people won't even realize that I'm living up here. Although looking at his lot, if you live on Sulani and you don't notice this crazy house, then I don't know what the heck it is that you are doing, because he has all sorts of crazy stuff here. So he has his truck and his camper, which is what I assumed, he drove over from Strangerville. I assume that Sulani, I don't know, maybe it's not like Hawaii where it's really far away from the mainland. Maybe it's more like a Nantucket kind of thing, where you can actually take a ferry and head over to Sulani that way. So either way, he moved himself over in his camper. He found this, crazy little lot. Maybe he found some washed up containers. I stole that idea from Havana Sims. She did a really great container style build the other day. It was really, really fun. You should definitely check that one out. And I really liked the idea of that for something on Sulani, because, everybody on Sulani is all about, repurposing and saving the earth and that kind of thing. So, maybe he found these washed up containers and found a way to get them up the mountain or up the volcano to his lot, and he repurposed them into a small, creepy, weird little home for himself. Now this house does have the off-the-grid trait, so you will notice as I go in, I'm trying to add as many lights as possible that I hope will work with the off-the-grid trait. I know that the one in the center right above this window, I know that one will not work, but I liked the look of it, so I wanted to keep it in there anyway. So you're gonna notice like a lot of candles around here, and it's because all of these lights, once I actually started playing in this house to get my screenshot, they were not gonna work anymore. So I wanted to make sure I did have a little bit of in-game lighting, so I didn't have to do too much crazy editing when it came to doing my screenshots. So you will notice, of course, me taking away all of that lighting and just trying to get, you know, some semblance of lighting in here to make it look like, you know, he's not gonna be wanting to walk around in the pitch black all the time, but, you know, maybe a little bit darker is okay for him. I didn't actually end up using really any of the Island Living furniture in this build. I ended up going more with like kind of that flea market kind of stuff. You know, I really wanted it to be like, these are things that maybe he found around the island. Maybe somebody on the island was moving or rearranging or replacing their furniture, so they put this couch on the side of the road and he went and took the couch, and, you know, the table cover, maybe it's just, you know, an old beach towel or something that he found lying around, because right now there is nobody in Sulani that's like actively cleaning up the area. So I can assume like all of those little bits and piles of trash and things like that, those are things that he has dug through, not to clean up the island, but to find things to put into his house. So that's really what I was going for here. I'm sure you noticed at one point we did already pass it. I ended up putting the metal sheeting on the exterior of this build rather than on the interior. I flipped it because I was looking for that when I was doing the exterior, and for whatever reason I didn't look in the correct category, so I couldn't find it. So I did end up switching it and putting the wood paneling on the interior. So I kind of assumed all of this wood paneling is, you know, driftwood that he has just, you know, found on his, you know, little strolls around the island, and just things that he's been picking up, and he's been slowly piecing his house together since he moved here from Strangerville. Now upstairs, I just made this room as cluttered and weird and disgusting as possible. There are so many stains on all of the walls, there's stains on all of the floors. In the screenshots, you'll even see he's actually, the sim that I created just for the screenshots, he's a slob, so I had to play through a day or two just to let the coconut trees grow, because I really wanted those for a screenshot for some reason. So while I was doing that, he was going around and eating, and he was just leaving his food bowls everywhere. So you'll notice in the screenshots, there's just some like stanky food bowls all over the place. And again, all of these little knickknacks, all of these little postcards and things like that, I'm just kind of thinking that they're things that he has either brought with him from Strangerville and had, you know, in wherever his house was in Strangerville, that is what he owned and he really wanted to bring it here, or he has found it, you know, as he's been going around and digging through trash piles on Sulani, and he's just, you know, he's kind of like, he's turning into a hoarder. He's not quite there yet, but he's definitely heading that way. The creepy little medical bed and, you know, the camera and everything like that, even the spy kind of table. I know those things, well, I know the spy table is not going to work, but I thought, again, those were some just like weird, creepy things maybe he had lying around in his basement in Strangerville, and he was like, well, I have to bring this with me because he's a hoarder and he has to bring everything with him and keep everything. He like can't throw anything away. Everything he has ever accumulated is either in his camper or it's in this house somewhere. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this build. I had a lot of fun doing the backstory of this one. I can't wait to see what everybody else in the collab does. I'm sure everybody is going to, you know, go in all sorts of different directions because there are so many ways you could build, you know, a beachy style house. And this was just, you know, like my beachy conspiracy theorist style house. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up down below. If you're new here or you're not new here and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you get notifications every single time I post a new video. I will be back on Friday and we will be starting with the Suburban Shell Tours. So if you want to download that from the gallery, you can search it up under hiphiprenee. I will be doing 3 videos of that one. I'm not sure how many houses are in the gallery or how many we'll be able to get to. I'm hoping that I will be able to tour everybody's, but we only have 3 weeks left in July, and I want to try not to go into August with this one like I did with the last one. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.